Hi everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining us to this Keys to On-Campus Living, all about step 3 and the last step.
Room selection.
Room selection. This is probably the most anticipated step for every student filling out the housing application.
Oh, I know you're all chomping at the bit to get in there and pick your rooms.
That's right. And so we are going to go through every detail that you need to know. We're going to go through step by step, all of the things that you'll want to know to make sure that you have a smooth room selection process. There are going to be timestamps on this video so that you'll be able to go back and watch this video for any questions that you might have. And we will also be answering your frequently asked questions at the end, so make sure that you stay tuned for those. As a reminder, we've already said it, but this is the final step of the housing application. Our housing application is compiled of 3 steps. The first one being beginning your application, filling out the My Profile section, and paying your application initiation fee. Then you'll move on to step 2, which is an optional roommate selection portion. And then this final step is where you place yourself into a room during the room selection process. So as a reminder, this video is only for students who are going to be first year students. Our upper class selection has already passed. So if you are an upper class student, this video is not for you. So you can go ahead and just leave.
Leave, yeah.
Leave now. And go to the upper class page if you've got any questions. But this is going to be for our first year students. So make sure that you are watching this video if you're a first year student. And again, we're going to be answering all of the questions, all the things that you need to know. We'll kick it off with time tickets. This is one of those things that you have heard about a ton.
Too many times at this point,
Too many times. You're probably like, Chris, I'm tired of hearing about your on-ramp.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it this time. It's fine. No one wants to hear it.
It's a good analogy, though. So,
it's the only way I can describe it.
It really is. It's a great analogy. So can you talk a little bit about the time tickets for this particular step?
Yes. So you got issued a time ticket for roommate selection, and unbeknownst to you, we wiped it. It no longer exists. We reissue time tickets for room selection based on the room selection dates. And it's all based on when you completed step 1 of the housing application when that opened. So time tickets, where do you find them? It's very similar to roommate selection. The minute you log into the housing portal, we're gonna have a big window right in front of you that says, "Welcome, Chris. This is your room selection time ticket." It'll show you the day of the week, the calendar day, and the time in which your room selection time ticket opens. So again, the roommate selection, step 2 was optional. Step 3 is required if you want to live on campus. So please, if you do want a room on campus, don't miss this step because it is very, very important. One piece of advice we always give is that when your time ticket opens, take your time because I'll use my analogy. One of the reasons we do time tickets is we want your experience to be as smooth and as great as possible. In years past, we've just opened up the gates and y'all have come in and crashed our server. So now we let a few students in at a time, about 20 students every half hour. Again, that affords them the opportunity to really take their time and systematically pick from the available rooms we have in the housing portal. So again, when your time ticket opens, take your time, pick the room that you want, and go from there.
We'll start getting into a little bit of an overview about the room selection process, but just keep in mind that, again, this is only for first year students. So we want to make sure that we are reinforcing that. So first year students, when you go inside the housing portal and for the room selection process, you are going to be able to see only communities on the campus where you are selected that are first year communities. So on the Kennesaw campus, you're going to be able to see beds in University Village Suites, and the Summit. And on the Marietta campus, you'll be able to see beds in Howell Hall and Hornet Village. And columns?
And columns.
And columns. All right, so those are gonna be the communities that are going to be available to you. Sometimes students will call Talon 1 and they're like, I don't see ARC, I don't see Austin Residence Complex. Well, that is an upper class community. So there are going to be certain communities that maybe you've seen on our website and you were excited about them, but they are upper class communities. So you won't be able to see those inside the housing portal. So just keep that in mind as you're doing your you're researching, getting ready for this step. Also, if you are a student who is going to be living in a living learning village and participating in a living learning village, when you begin the process, you're only going to be able to see beds that are selected basically or set aside for students in that particular living learning village. So the honors students in the first year community, first year honors, they're only going to be able to see beds inside the summit. And so you won't be able to see University Village or University Village Suites because you are tagged, as Chris says in the housing portal, you're tagged as a living learning village student, so you'll only be able to see those communities. Another thing that we like to tell students is that as they are preparing for this, they're going to want to have some pretty candid conversations with their roommates if they are in a roommate pair.
Definitely.
So they're going to want to have conversations about, you know, what communities are you really enjoying? What floor plans are you really enjoying? What budget do you have?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're talking about what each of you and your families can afford when it comes to on-campus housing, because we have a ton of different options for you.
Yeah, and every floor plan has a different cost. Keep in mind that the cost that you are looking at when you are seeing on our website, it is a cost per person per semester. So that cost that you are not seeing is for you and your roommate. That is just for you. So please make sure that you are keeping that in mind and that you are having those conversations. If you're just by yourself, that makes it so much easier because you don't have to rely on anybody else. But you're making a, you know, like maybe a top 3 wish list. So, you know, like if I get everything going my way, then I want this kind of floor plan in this kind of building. But this is option 2, this is option 3, right? So make sure that you are having those conversations. On our website, you're also gonna be able to find virtual tours of every single one of our floor plans across both of our campuses. So if you know that you're interested in seeing what the Hornet Village looks like, you're gonna be able to go on that webpage that has all of the Hornet Village information on it. You'll be able to see that virtual tour. It is pretty in-depth. It is a 360-degree tour, so you're able to turn the whole model, scale up, scale down, zoom in, get as close as you want. It's got a virtual measuring tool, which is to scale.
It is, yeah.
So we get a lot of questions like, how big is my window?
How tall is the bed?
I don't know. Go measure it there. So we have that tool available for you all. So make sure that you are looking at that very carefully. And then think about what room types you would want as well. So we have a few different room types on our campuses. We have what we call single beds, single rooms, which means that there is a room with only one bed inside of it. And then we have rooms that we consider doubles. So doubles means that it's one room with 2 beds inside of it. That is a very popular floor plan in the Summit, for example. The Summit has a lot of doubles. So that means that the units are comprised of 2 rooms and each room has 2 beds for a total of 4 people in that unit. And then the University Village also offers rooms where we have bunk beds options. This is a really great option for students who are looking for an affordable way to live on campus.
Those bunk beds, while it may scare some of you, those are the most economical option that we offer. And we instituted those a couple years ago because we needed more beds for first-year students. So we created this option. We call it a twin over twin instead of bunk beds.
That's right, twin over twin.
Sweeten it up a little bit. But they are incredibly affordable and allow you the opportunity to share a space with another person and really get to know them pretty well.
Yeah, and I think one of the perks about that being in the University Village is that the unit still has a washer dryer inside of it, a full kitchen, a living room, and you're sharing the bathroom with really only one other person, which makes it a really sweet perk. So there are lots of room options. That's another great conversation to have with your roommate pair if you are in a roommate pair, to talk about what options are going to fit best for your needs, for your budget, for your lifestyle. And so make sure that you are having those conversations before it even starts. Now, speaking of roommate pairs, we talked a little bit about this during our roommate selection video, but we definitely want to reinforce it during this one because this is where the roommate pair leader, it's their time to shine.
Everything, they're like the Kobe Bryant of room selection.
They really are.
For your roommate pair.
Or a LeBron James.
Or a LeBron
that's
James.
Or Michael Jordan.
Or a
Doesn't
Serena.
matter what basketball reference you want.
Yeah.
They're the GOAT.
They're the Travis Kelce of tight ends.
There you go.
But the roommate pair, if you decided to do that, again, that was an optional step, which is now closed. But if you are in a roommate pair, you need to take a look. There is a page that is going to be before room selection that you'll be able to access before your time ticket opens. It is the roommate pair management page, and it will show you who's in your roommate group, some details about them. But the most important detail is what their room selection time ticket is. Now, if you have a later time ticket than your roommate, you're going to want to make them the roommate pair leader because, like you said, they're kind of the captain of the ship from here on out. The person with the earliest time ticket, you want to make them the roommate pair leader because when their time ticket opens, they will do everything for the roommate pair. They're going to go search for the community that you're living in. They're going to go search for the floor plan that you as a roommate pair want. They will actually place both of you in a room, or not in a room, but in a unit together, and they will pick your bedroom. They carry a lot of weight.
They do. So it's important that you have some heavy conversations with your roommate pair leader and making sure that they are very responsible, that they have the availability, that when their time ticket opens, they are getting in there as quickly as possible to make sure that you have really the best options for your group.
Absolutely. Now, they're going to do everything up to a certain point for you. So they will actually go search for a unit, search for a bed, assign that bed to you. The only thing they're not going to do is sign your housing contract, your housing license agreement, and pay that $75 room booking fee for you. That will be on you if you're not the roommate pair leader. Those steps still need to take place, or else you risk losing the room that your roommate pair leader picked for you. So just please keep that in mind, that after you get a room that your roommate pair leader has picked for you, you got about 48 hours to go in there and pay that room booking fee and sign your housing license agreement to do that. Those are the last two things that you'll do. Once you reach a confirmation page that says, congratulations, you're all set, you're good to go. So again, communication is going to be very important with your pair leader, and you can change that as many times as you want. There's a really easy button. We'll show you on that roommate pair management page everybody's time ticket, and then if you are the pair leader, but your roommate has a better time ticket, there's a button that just says make leader, and you're passing those responsibilities on to that person, and now you're in their hands. They're going to take control of the process from that point forward. So again, make sure you're communicating very well with your roommate group, your roommate pair, excuse me, and that your roommate pair leader knows exactly what your expectations are and what the pair is going to need when their time ticket comes open. Now, there are some situations where you might want to leave a roommate pair.
Yeah, sometimes the communication isn't all there, or maybe you started talking and your budgets don't align. Right. I think sometimes that's like the biggest one, where they're like, well, I could spend this much per semester, and the other person's like, well, I can't. So you're no longer on the same page, and you may want to break up that roommate pair. So how would you do that?
Yeah, so before you go to this step, before you decide I'm going to leave my roommate pair, please know that this cannot be undone. Once you click the button that says leave group, it's going to prompt you and say, are you sure you want to leave group? If you click yes, that's done. Your pair is separated. It's very extreme, and there are situations where you might need to leave a group, and that might be if the person who is your roommate pair leader, if their time ticket has opened and you don't have a room within the next couple of hours, you might want to abandon that person and go pick a room for yourself. If your roommate peer leader has stopped communicating with you, sometimes we do have students that will get into a roommate pair and then ultimately decide not to come to KSU. And you're kind of stuck because the roommate pair leader is the one that does all the work for your roommate pair. You can leave that group. Let's say we get deep into room selection and we don't have any more units that have 2 beds available. You're going to have to separate your group. Or if you flat out start communicating with that person and you're like, oh, this is not a vibe. I don't gel with this person anymore. I'm just going to leave. Now, there are notifications that are sent, both to the pair leader and to yourself that says you've left this group. So you can't like stealthily do this because your roommate is gonna get a notification that you left. But yeah, just keep that in mind that there are some scenarios where you're gonna have to break up the group, but you can't undo it. You're gonna call Talon 1 and say, hey, I didn't mean to press this button, and we're gonna say, I'm so sorry, but your roommate pair is now split up.
Yeah, and the reason is, we talked about this in the step 2, but that optional step does have a deadline, and the reason we create that deadline is so that this last step can be as seamless as possible. So we can't go back at that point. There's really no going back. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that you're having some really good conversations. I think this portion of the room selection process will really make or break your roommates. And it'll see if you're really going to be good fits or not.
Very true.
And if this portion doesn't go well, then you might want to split up.
Yeah.
So. After we've selected our roommate pair leader, it's time to get to the good stuff, which is selecting a room. It's like the most exciting part. So when they log in and they look at the housing portal, what are they going to see?
Yeah, so we, first and foremost, before we get into it, I want everybody who's watching this video to know that we don't hide any rooms during room selection.
We do not.
Every available bed that we have is going to be shown to the students from the first time ticket that opens. We do that as a transparent process, just so everybody knows that when it gets later in the process, which we'll talk about, we don't keep rooms off to the side. But when you log in, your roommate pair leader or yourself, your time ticket opens and you're ready to go pick a room, we're gonna start really broad. You're gonna see all of the different communities that we offer, like Catherine mentioned, University Village Suites, Summit, Howell, Hornet Village, Columns, depending on which campus. And you're gonna start there. You're gonna say, I'd like to see what's available in University Village. So you click on that, and then it's gonna show you these rooms that are available. It'll show you the exact unit number, the exact bedroom number. It'll show you the floor plan. The floor plans, which are not exact. We get hurt every year at moving about that. So please be aware.
I thought my room was over here.
Yeah, I thought I was in the D bedroom farthest from the entrance. Anyway, sorry. Once you make your community selection, on the left-hand side, this is very much like shopping for a concert ticket, if you've ever done that. You're gonna see what floor do I wanna be on? If you wanna switch communities, there's these little bars over here that say, show me University Village Suites. I wanna see a 2x1, a 3x3, a 4x4, whatever. The system is gonna show you, hey, here's what we have that matches your gender and your campus classification.
But I want to see a 3x3 and a 4x4. Those are my favorite.
So all of you watching this are saying, oh, I'm definitely getting a 2x2 or a 3x3 in University Village. I can almost promise you that you will not get that room. Because...
Unless you did it on December 1st at 10 a.m.
Unless you were the first person in the gate with your housing
That's
application.
Right.
We have extremely few 2x2 and 3x3 beds available. So just keep that in mind.
That's right.
What Catherine is getting to is if you get into the housing portal and you're like, wait a second, I don't see a 3x3 or a 2x2, that's because they're gone. As our system is dynamic, so as people are picking rooms, they come out of the pool of available rooms. And again, once you put a room in your cart, you have a little timer that's going to start. It says you got 10 minutes to complete the process from here. And that 10 minutes includes paying your $75 and signing your housing license agreement. Because again, we have other people in line behind you whose time tickets are about to open. And so you can't take a whole lot of time, but we do want you to be very strategic with what your selections are. So again, I jumped ahead a little bit, but when you find the bed that you want, you're gonna put it in your cart, your shopping cart, and then you're gonna go through the next steps to check out with your room. If you're a roommate pair leader and you're in a roommate pair, you're actually gonna have to pick 2 rooms, one for you and one for your roommate. And then later on in the process, you will actually, let's say you put bedrooms A and B in your cart. Then there's a next page that says, great, who's going to live in which of these bedrooms? And you will literally assign yourself and your roommate to their particular bed and then continue the checkout process.
Here's a question, Chris. If I'm a roommate pair leader, as I'm selecting the beds and I select one for myself, and then I'm trying to select another bed, but it's giving me an error message, or it's not letting me, why could that be?
Yes, that's a very common error. So our system is really smart. So if you're in a roommate pair, our system knows that, oh, these two want to live together. Let's make sure they don't assign beds that are not in the same unit. And so if you get an error, it's likely because you picked bedroom A from unit 1 and bedroom B from unit 2. The beds have to be in the same unit or apartment, whatever you want to call it, whatever word, so that you're actually in the same space together.
After I've gone through all of that process and like I've checked it out of my little cart and I'm at the end, but maybe I'm feeling indecisive and I'm feeling like, what if I didn't make the right choice? What if I want to go back and change it to something else? What do I do?
We have implemented just last year the ability for students to change their room by themselves. And the Talent One staff love us for this because you don't have to call anybody, you don't have to do anything. The power is in your hands. Now I will say, you're only able to change your room before you've paid that $75 fee. Once you've paid that, you're locked in, that room is yours. You'll have to call us to see what beds are available. But before you pay that fee and sign your license agreement, you can actually keep shopping. Like you got a room, you want to go back into the pool and see what's available. And some people do that. They're like, I want a guaranteed spot on campus, and then I want to go see what else is out there. You can keep shopping, and it's very simple. You can just say, all right, I want room B instead of room A, and it's a very easy couple clicks of a button.
mentioned this a few times, but this step is not complete until you pay the $75 room booking fee. Now, this is a fee that is for each student in the unit. So if you're the roommate pair leader, you will pay the $75 room booking fee. And if you are the other roommate, you will also need to pay the $75 room booking fee. Also, you will need to sign your license agreement. So your license agreement is a legally binding document. I want to make sure that I say that. It is a legally binding document. It's your contract that you are saying, I'm going to live on campus. I'm going to live in this particular bed, in this unit. I'm going to follow all the rules, and I'm going to pay everything on time. That's basically what it's saying.
Yeah.
It's your contract.
I'm going to follow all the rules.
It's your
all the
lease,
things.
if you will, of living on campus. And so that is when you're going to be able to sign that document. Make sure that you're reading it.
All 13 pages of it.
All of it. There's some addendums at the end, make sure you read those too. But it's important that you know what you're signing, and so take some time to read that. And then once you do that and pay that $75 room booking fee, that is when you are actually done. That means you're good to go, you're ready, you're set, and you will have 48 hours after you put those rooms in your cart in order to do that. And so if you wait past that 48 hours, those beds, they go back. And so that means that those initial rooms that you selected, if you waited, you lose out on them, and you would have to go back into the pool and basically begin the process all over again.
No, I do want to say we have a lot of demand for housing on campus at Kennesaw, and we do our best to serve every student the best way we can. I will tell you, if you think we're kidding about that 48 hours, we're not. We need students to commit because we have a lot of students who want the opportunity to live on campus. So there are going to be scenarios where you're in a roommate pair, you think you're good to go, but your roommate never completed the final steps, which is paying the fee and signing their license agreement, and we drop them from the room, and then you get a whole different roommate. So again, please make sure you're communicating early and often about making sure everything is done.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I just want to reiterate again that this is especially if you're in a roommate pair. The roommate pair leader is not the only person responsible for paying the $75 room booking fee. Each person in the roommate pair group has to pay the $75 room booking fee. So make sure that you are both doing it. So you talked about it a little bit, but we have a lot of demand for on-campus housing.
Yes.
Which means that there will come a point where we, unfortunately, will be on a wait list. So can you talk a little bit about the wait list and how that works and what students can expect if they come to a point where they need to add themselves to a wait list?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Catherine said, there's going to come a point where we run out of space, and we follow along in the housing portal, and we'll watch the rooms dwindle, dwindle, dwindle. And then once we are out of rooms for a specific campus and gender, so let's say we're out of male Kennesaw beds or male Marietta beds, we're going to turn the wait list on for those students. And when we get to that point where I mentioned that community selection page where you pick which community you want to live in and then look at the rooms, you're not going to see that. Instead, one of the things we do, once we hit a wait list, let's say your time ticket hasn't even opened yet, we're going to email you, and we're going to communicate and just say, hey, we're out of beds for your classification and your gender. The wait list is live and ready for you. Unfortunately, you cannot add yourself to the wait list until your time ticket opens. Again, we try to keep things as fair as we can. But when the wait list is live, you'll be able to see, okay, they're out of beds. I'm going to add myself to the male first-year wait list. And our system, again, is very intuitive. It will actually show you how many people are ahead of you on the wait list before you add yourself, and then it will show you your exact placement on the wait list, and you can go check that at any time in the housing portal on the homepage once we reach that point.
And that wait list is very specific. I want to reiterate
Yes.
that, because I think sometimes they're like, well, the number I'm seeing is for everyone. And it's like, no, it is for students who are basically exactly like you in your same exact position. So same classification, same campus, same gender.
Now, being on the wait list is not the end of the world. So we typically hit a wait list around the middle of May each year. And when we do move in August, and between the middle of May and August, we are able to place hundreds of students from the wait list into on-campus housing. So it's not the end of the world. You can do your due diligence and be on the housing wait list, but then also search for other housing opportunities. But when we reach your name on the wait list, we are going to email you at your KSU student email address. We're also, if you opted into our texting, we're going to text you at the phone number you provided that says, hey, we have a room for you. Again, you got 48 hours to go complete the next steps. Please go do that.
So make sure, this is a good reminder to go ahead and opt in for the texting.
Opt in.
If you just see like a little phone call and you're like, I don't know what numbers, it might be us, pick up.
Yeah.
It might be us, so pick up your phone, we want to talk to you. All right, so Chris, sometimes we get questions from students who started the application, maybe not as early as when it opened, but started it nonetheless and paid that application initiation fee. And then they see themselves having to add themselves to a wait list. So what happens with those students? Can they get a refund? Is it the deposit? So many questions.
Yes, we get this a lot. It's a question we answer a lot at orientation season. That $200 is not a deposit. A deposit implies that money can be refunded to you. We try our best to be as clear as we can that $200 application initiation fee is a non-refundable application fee. So please don't pay that fee if you don't think you're coming to KSU or are going to choose a different college. We will not give that money back. Now, an insider secret that we have is that once we feel like we've gotten a whole bunch of applications, we actually turn off the ability for students to pay that $200 application initiation fee until after they pick a room. So we do our best to try to predict, okay, we have X number of applications, X number of beds, let's turn it off. Let's stop collecting that money because we don't want to be unethical and take people's money when we feel like we might not have a bed for them.
That's right. So that means that students who didn't pay that application initiation fee see themselves adding themselves to the wait list and then are one of the lucky ones who get a phone call from us and say, hey, you got a room. At the very end, they're going to pay $275, which is $200 for the application initiation fee and then $75 for the room booking fee. So just keep that in mind. And if you've got questions about the wait list, we've got that information on our website. So make sure that you check that out. Now, one thing that we want to talk about that is something that happened a few years ago, and it started to happen a little bit frequently, and we want to make sure that we talk about it every year, is that we have a no bullying policy. And the reason that we have that is because when we started putting students in roommate pairs and students started selecting rooms and things like that, and they had friends that wanted to come with them, they would place themselves and their roommate into a room, and then the extra rooms that were in there, sometimes it's a 3x3, that one extra bed or those 2 extra beds, they would start messaging the students who are in those rooms, basically bullying them to get out of their rooms so that their friends could come in. That is not acceptable. So please do not do that. We have an absolutely no bullying policy. If we hear from the other roommates in that room that you are being a bully, that you are trying to harass students out of their rooms, then we will be reaching out to you and we may terminate your contract. And so just keep that in mind. It's not acceptable. Everyone has fair chance to be inside the housing portal based on their time tickets. It is a fair process. We don't sit down and are making time tickets for people. It's a computer. It does it all based on when you began that application. And so just make sure that you are being kind to others. These are going to be your neighbors. These are going to be your peers here at KSU. So make sure that you are treating each other with fairness and with kindness. And please keep in mind that if we are made aware of any bullying, then you are subject to getting your room canceled on campus.
And that seems harsh, but we have done that in the past, probably less than 6 or 7 students that I can think of off the top of my head. But one of the reasons we take it so seriously is that all of y'all are so excited to come to campus, so excited to move away from home, start your adult life. Everybody is super excited, and this bullying that happens really ruins the experience for those who are feeling forced to move or give up the room that they chose fair and square because someone else had a roommate request that they didn't follow our system.
Yeah, absolutely. And so,
So
you
just
know,
be kind to others.
yeah,
That's all we ask.
that's really it. And like, nobody wants an awkward move-in day.
Nope.
So, just keep it nice, and it's going to be better for you in the long run. And you get to meet all these fun new people.
Yeah.
So you're going to make so many great friends. So just keep that in mind. We don't want to terminate anyone's contract.
Correct.
So, all right. So now we'll take some frequently asked questions that you guys have submitted, and we're really excited to answer those. One of the questions that we got, Chris, is if I am with my roommates, we've already like picked our beds inside, and we get there and we decide that we want to switch. Can we switch?
Oh, this is on move-in day.
On move-in day, let's do two scenarios.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
do before and let's do on move-in day.
Okay, great. Before move-in day, unfortunately, we try to do as little room swaps, assignment changes as possible. There's no way for you to do it on your own in the housing portal. You'd have to request it with Talon 1. And we would want that in writing from both roommates saying, Chris and Catherine, I'm an A, she's an B, we want to swap. We're not going to take just one person's word for it. We would want to hear from both students involved. We can make that change in our system as long as it's not complicated and again, all parties involved are okay with that. Happy to help out students get reassigned. I will say, take some more time during the room selection process to just get that right from the jump, because that's a very small task, but it takes us off our larger task as we prepare for move-in. On move-in day, I would not recommend doing any room swaps, because if we find out that our records don't match up with reality of who's in which room, you might face a $200 room change fee. So it's best to communicate ahead of time before you get here, because once you take possession of that room, our records need to be updated, and then we're not going to be super happy if we find out you swapped rooms at move-in.
Yeah, don't do that. And then the other question that we received is, I started the room selection process, but there are no beds available for, myself as whatever kind of student that I am. So what would I do then?
So if we're out of beds for your campus classification and your gender, you're going to see in the housing portal our waitlist pages. And this is not something that we automatically add students to. There's rumor mills out on social media that we automatically add students to the waitlist. That is 100% not true. The students have to do that themselves. You'll see in the housing portal, instead of picking your community that you want to live in, it's going to show you, hey, we have a waitlist for you to join. It's free, there's no cost. You don't have to put any skin in the game. You literally just click a button and add yourself to the wait list. And then as we get rooms available through cancellations or students who aren't coming to KSU anymore, we're going to go in order of, all right, we got this room, let's just start giving them to people off the wait list. And then you'll get an email to your KSU student email account with a room offer.
Yeah. One more question that we get all the time is, let's say that there was a bed available, but it's just not the ideal bed that I want. So can I have a room selected and also maybe add myself to a wait list to get a better room?
Oh, good question. No, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Our system only allows, it's either you have a room or you're on the wait list. You cannot be in both of those buckets of students at the same time. The other thing that I would say, a question that we get a lot is, I'm on the wait list, I'm wait list position number 1. I get offered a room that I don't want. It's not the right floor plan for me. I don't want to accept the room offer. Do I cancel that room offer and go back to number 1 on the wait list? Nope. No. If you want to add yourself back to the wait list, you're going to the bottom, which there could be 200, 300, 400 students ahead of you at that point. So again, make these decisions wisely before you decline a room offer, because it'll happen at some point this summer.
Yeah. So thank you guys for your questions. If you've got additional questions, 99% we probably answered it already in this video. So make sure that you check the timestamp so you can go back and get your questions answered. It's also probably on our website somewhere. So go check our website. And if it's not there, reach out to the Talon 1 Service Center. They are happy to answer any of those questions that you might have. Also, make sure that you are connecting with us on social media. On Instagram, we're at Housing KSU, and we're going to be posting a lot of information to lead you up to the most exciting day of the year.
Move-in.
So we're really excited for move-in. It's probably one of my favorite times of the entire year. seeing all of these new students get so excited about coming back to campus. The summer is so like quiet on campus, and then move-in just like brings all of this life.
All the life comes back to
Yeah,
campus.
so we're really excited to welcome you all to the Nest in August. So make sure that you are checking our email, your email, not my email.
Yeah.
Check your email from emails from us that we are going to be sending to your student email specifically, that you're looking at our website, that you're following us on social, and that you're reaching out to Talon One if you've got any questions. Also, if you haven't signed up for orientation, make sure that you sign up.
Please do that.
Yes,
that's
because
very important.
Really, because in case you didn't know, if you are not registered for classes, you can't live on campus.
And where do you register for classes?
At orientation.
Orientation.
Yes, so make sure that you are signed up for orientation, so that you are registering for those classes and that you're getting everything ready to go for August. We're really excited. We're gonna have a lot more information about move-in on our website, so make sure that you are tuned in there. And we can't wait to see you when you move in August. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See you soon.